My name's Alec Panchik, I'm 21, and I went from having no experience to directing a couple TV commercials in a matter of 2 years. And this is the YouTube channel where I talk about how I did it. The caveat to that is I'm still at a very early stage in my career, but I'm sort of making these videos to take you along the journey with me and share my thoughts, feelings, and experiences. This video in particular, I want to talk about all the way back 2 years ago, at the very beginning, when I literally was starting out with nothing. I had 0 connections, and I had 0 work under my belt. And to make connections, you sort of need to have some work under your belt, which sounds kind of backwards because you think, well, to get work under my belt, don't I need the connections first? Well, yes, but you have to prove to the people you're connecting with that you're capable of doing the work. And that's where spec work comes in. Spec work is creating work that is your idea of the exact type of work that you want to be hired for, but nobody's hired you to do it yet. You basically just do it all by yourself. Basically, the game plan with spec work is you create a couple commercials that are as good as you can possibly make them. They're the exact type of commercial that you want to be hired for, and you take them and you put them in a gorgeous reel and you send it out to as many people as you can, and you say, look at this wonderful work I've done. Some of it's spec. However, I'm the one who made all this stuff. And you're proving to them that you're capable of doing what you say you can do. This is where the biggest roadblock to my success popped up. And that roadblock is perfectionism. And the reason it's such a roadblock is because perfectionism is such a perfect antidote to doing something. It's the perfect reason not to do something at all. I sort of had this thought in my head of like, well, I've actually never done this work before. What if I put all this work into something and it turns out to be shit? Why even try at all? Perfectionism is such an antidote to action because it argues that if something isn't going to be perfect, which this spec work piece probably wasn't going to be perfect, and it wasn't, then you shouldn't even try. You shouldn't even do it at all. That's a horrible way to think about life. It's a horrible way to think about the start of a career, and it's a horrible way to approach anything creative. Especially in our creative industry, you gotta get through some projects that aren't as good so you can become good enough to make the ones that are good. Spec work doesn't have to be perfect, okay? You don't need the perfect camera. I didn't have the perfect camera. I was shooting on a camera that was like 12 years old. You don't need the perfect equipment. You don't need any actors. I was the actor in the video. You don't need the best opportunity. You don't need the best location. You just gotta, if you have nothing, you just gotta make something, right? You just gotta take that one step forward. You gotta just jump into the deep end of the pool with just this one little trust fall on your future self. I made a video 2 years ago before I even made this piece of spec work that I uploaded on this YouTube channel. It was the last video I made. You can go check it out if you want. And in it, when I was talking about the spec work, I sort of said to myself, maybe this is going to be terrible. And I let myself accept that maybe it will be terrible. But at least I'd have done it instead of not doing it. At least I'd have made a push towards the future instead of making no push at all. I was on set with a couple professionals in my industry, and they gave me a great piece of advice. The advice was, it's better to do something poorly than not do it at all. It's better to do something poorly than not do it at all. I have to tell myself that all the time in life. If I'm about to go hit a workout and I'm feeling crappy, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm whatever, and I always tell myself like, oh, the workout's not going to be good, I'll just rest up and do it tomorrow, when I'm feeling really good and can actually hit the weight and can actually get a good workout in. But the same thing there, like what a shitty way to think about it. It's better to get the workout in today, get a kind of a poorly workout in today. You know, try your best, but if it's not great, that's okay, than to just not work out at all. Doing anything worth doing is worth doing poorly than not at all. So that's the point of this video. If you're at the position that I was in 2 years ago, where you have no work under your belt, you gotta just make something. Just anything at all, just make something. That project, that first project that you make, doesn't have to be perfect, because you're gonna make more after that. There are going to be more projects, and there were. The first spec project I made, it was of this watch I had. It was alright. I made better ones after that. But I wouldn't have made those better ones if I hadn't made that first not so good one. Even with this YouTube channel, I don't have my camera from home yet. I'm filming this on my iPhone. This video is not that great. But I wanted to make this video journal. I wanted to make this video, so I just did it. I hope I've inspired at least one person out there where if there's something that you're wanting to do but afraid to do it because it's not going to be perfect, to just go ahead and do it. And if that's creating a spec work piece for your portfolio, then great. If it's something else, that's great as well. Anyways, when I was making that first piece of spec work, I recorded some content for YouTube, but I never uploaded it. I talk a lot about how my camera wasn't good in the video. I don't know. It wasn't. I ended up buying a new camera, and I needed to. I don't want to say like you should never buy a new camera, because I kind of needed one if I wanted to do professional work. You have to make investments, that's true. And even though I was talking about how my gear wasn't great, I also, I didn't really let it limit me. I was making the piece. It wasn't perfect, but I was making it. I was making it work. So anyways, here is the footage that I recorded 2 years ago when making my first piece of spec work ever, before reaching out to anybody in the industry. I hope you enjoy. I'm on my way to finish shooting a short film spec commercial that I'm making right now, and it's 2024 and I'm filming it on a camera that was released in 2015. The image is still 1080p. It's very soft, although part of that is because not all the lenses I use are very nice. The low light sensitivity is horrible, and after 10 years of being the guy who's like, oh, your gear doesn't limit you, don't always think about gear, I'm kind of starting to feel limited by it. When I was like learning how to become a filmmaker, I was watching people like DSLR Guide, who's like a really famous like filmmaking tutorials YouTube channel, and he always preached, his big thing was that like, it's not about the gear, you know what I mean? It's not about what kind of camera you have, it's not about what kind of lenses you have. For the longest time, I didn't feel limited by this camera at all, you know what I mean? Even on this project, it's really held up pretty good for being almost 10 years old. However, the area I'm starting to feel limited by with this camera is its dynamic range and its low light capability. When I'm shooting something outside at night and I want to show the sky and myself in the same frame, like a lot of people are able to do with newer cameras, the image just completely falls apart. I was shooting, here, I'll show you a video. This video I shot, I wanted the sun was setting in the background, and I wanted to have the car coming in, and I couldn't even show more of the sky because even with my lens all the way cranked to 22 aperture and getting the image as dark as possible, the sky was still completely blown out. If I had had a slightly newer camera, just a few more years into the future, I would have been able to make that shot look really good and not be limited by my gear. It says it's going to lightly rain soon, so I hope the camera